Joining us now, Democratic Senator of Maryland and member of the Foreign Relations Committee, Chris Van Hollen. Senator, always good to see you. What are the conversations that you're having and that you're hearing about these resolutions and how much support you think they have?
Well, Chris, it's good to be with you. And the Constitution is very clear. Presidents do not have the power to declare war unilaterally. Only Congress has that power. And so I strongly support the efforts to file a war powers resolution. Senator Kane's here in the Senate and a bipartisan resolution in the House. The United States should not rush into war. We shouldn't be dragged into a war with Iran. And certainly the president doesn't have the authority to simply wage war against Iran without congressional action. So I believe that, look, as you well know, among Republicans, there's a real split on the issue. You've got the bombs away on Iran today group, and then you've got those who said, you know, President Trump said he was the no wars president. He was the president to end wars. And so that's the debate going on among Republicans.
Well, let me ask you about the debate going on, I think, among Democrats as well, because we've heard people use phrases like we're at a major turning point, we're at a pivotal juncture. Donald Trump himself said today, you know, something big indicated could happen in the next week. I'm just getting some stuff from Capitol Hill from one of your colleagues, Senator Kelly, who's on the Intel Committee, as you know, spoke to our Ryan Nobles and said, I get briefed on it practically every week. I see where they are. They're close. Incredibly close. So how do you see this moment and the level of danger and what should happen as a result of it?
Well, Chris, we've always said that it would be unacceptable for Iran to have a nuclear weapon. The question is, how do you do that? And as you know, the president's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, was scheduled to meet with his Iranian counterparts in Oman on Sunday. And then, of course, the Netanyahu government launched this attack, and so those talks were scuttled. So, you know, we had an approach back during the Obama administration. It was called the JCPOA. Donald Trump tore it up. Prime Minister Netanyahu has always opposed the negotiated approach. But that's the approach we should take as Americans, rather than to get America dragged into this conflict and, you know, put the lives of our servicemen and women at risk. Those of us who opposed the war in Iraq remember how we got caught up into that war, and in my view, a very costly war where we did not ultimately achieve our goals.
Let me read to you some of what your Republican colleagues have said just today, again, gotten by our folks who are on the ground there on Capitol Hill, our correspondents. Senator Rounds, who says no option should be off the table for President Trump. Senator Kennedy supports Trump unconditionally on eliminating Iran's nuclear capability. Senator Kramer says we are more susceptible than we've ever been to a foreign attack. And here's what another of the Republican colleagues, Bernie Moreno, told reporters about how he views the president's approach to Iran.
President Trump is the least likely president of the United States ever, again, in my lifetime, to lead a country in a war. He's not. That's not his intent. So he doesn't need to be constrained because he is the constraint. So I think what he's doing is putting together a deal. Look what he did with India and Pakistan. I mean, that was never really reported. You had two nuclear powers that are about to go at it against each other, and that's almost like it never happened. I think you're going to see the same thing in the Middle East. And by the way, I hope all of you call for a Nobel Peace Prize for President Trump when this is all done.
I won't ask you your opinion on the Nobel Peace Prize, but I will ask you about the idea that this is a president who consistently, even before he was president or when he was not president of the United States, argued against an interventionist policy, what he saw as a dangerous policy. So what do you say to the Bernie Morenos who say, listen, he's a guy who's going to constrain himself. He doesn't need you and a resolution to constrain him?
Well, Chris, just first of all, for the record, the Indian government denied that Donald Trump or his administration had anything to do with their entering into the ceasefire with Pakistan. But it's not me or my colleagues. This is the Constitution of the United States. And I know President Trump said a few weeks ago that, you know, maybe he doesn't have to comply with the Constitution of the United States, but he does. And I would hope my Republican colleagues would recognize that. And so, you know, if Senator Moreno is right, what he's saying is that Donald Trump's not likely to go to war against Iran. I don't think we should go to war against Iran. And so let's see what happens here. But based on what, you know, President Trump's been saying, many of us think it's important to remind him that he doesn't have the power to do that without congressional authorization.
Senator Chris Van Hollen, always appreciate you taking the time to come on the show. Thank you.